Hello, everyone. Let me start today with a truth that we all know, but sometimes we overlook. And that truth is that people buy from people they trust, not just like. Trust. So, and in our world, selling fans to food processors, warehouses, factories, farms, you're not just selling air movement, are you? You're selling peace of mind, reliability, a solution that helps someone else do their job better. So, a while back, one of your team members told me a story. A plant manager called in looking for 10 fans, and the order ended up being triple the size, 30, because the salesperson slowed down. They built some trust and they uncovered why the customer was calling, not just taking the order. That's rapport, asking a question about the customer's problem, diving into why they called, what's on their front burner, and listen first, no selling, not till later. So in transactional sales, it's tempting to think just get the quote out, just get the PO. And that's okay. Sometimes that's what's required, but buyers today are flooded with a lot of options. And if you sound like everyone else, you're just a voice in the noise, right? So rapport is your differentiator. Let me tell you more. Rapport is the doorway to trust. That's where it starts. Trust is the bridge to bigger conversations, and those bigger conversations lead to bigger opportunities. More fans, more projects, more loyalty. So there's a couple of things, keys to building rapport quickly. Here's a couple of key learning points. Number one, slow down. Slow down to speed up. That means start with curiosity, not assumptions, and ask, can I ask what led you to call today? Or what's going on at your facility that made fans a priority today? That's a door opener. And that's just an example. Put it in your own words, in your own style. It's okay. Just be human, huh? Be authentically curious as fast as you can when you're opening a new call. So the other thing that we want to talk about today is matching the buyer's pace, matching their energy, matching their style. A high energy plant manager, can you match that a bit? A calm procurement officer sitting in a small, quiet office above the warehouse, can you slow your tone down a little bit? People trust people who feel like them. It's sort of like a chemistry because we're similar. And that's not to change your personality or change your style or even the manner of speaking. It's just tuning in just a little bit better, listening just a little bit better, and then saying to yourself, how can I adjust to make a good first impression? Let's take a half step back and remind ourselves about behavioral styles so that we can keep getting better about matching a little bit. Here's the chart that we talked about weeks ago and a few times over the course of the last year or so. So if you're talking to a D style, what does that look like? And how could you adjust a little bit to build more rapport? Here's the attributes as just a quick reminder. They're tough, they're decisive, they're strong-willed, they're direct. They want to be in control. Can you pick up the pace a little bit? Can you be more direct? That's what a D likes, and that's what they respond to. And then what about an I style? What are their attributes? Here they are. A little more sociable, talkative, probably optimistic, maybe a little bit persuasive. They'll tell a story or share a story. And definitely maybe a little bit faster pace. Should you pick up your pace just a touch? Maybe. I think so. And then what about an S style? Do you remember S styles? You probably know a customer who fits this category. And here's the attributes to it. An S style or of an S style, a little bit calmer, a little bit more maybe a little bit more introverted, but still people-oriented, very loyal. The S style will give your opinion, but you may have to ask for it, as opposed to an I style. If there's a lot of opinion offering up, that's probably a pretty good red flag that you've got an I style, S style attributes. There you go. Can you think of a person that you work with or a customer that you talked with in the last week or two that fits this and what those attributes are? And how did you do? Did you notice it? And did you adjust a touch? Yeah, I hope so. And then C style, sometimes, unless you're a C style, this can be a challenge. For me, at least, a C style's tendencies are very detail oriented and systematic in their purchasing and very logical. If you're that way, bravo. But if you're one of the other styles, then there could be a little bit of, I don't want to say headbutting, but there could be a little bit of mismatch. But you can take a little bit of control over that by adjusting by adjusting your style. So it's just a quick reminder of this thing we call disc profile. There are times when a quick story builds more rapport than maybe you telling something about a feature or a benefit. Sometimes sharing a quick story is one of the best ways to build rapport. Like this. That reminds me of a customer who had the same issue with airflow in their processing area. Storytelling builds emotional connection, even in business to business, not just business to consumer. So I would have a story or two or three for different situations that you can relate, short, to the point. And then building rapport, don't just say, I'll send the quote, say, I'll send over a few ideas that have worked well for others in your industry. Would that be helpful? See, end every call with value, help you stand out from the crowd. The biggest mistake we make in selling, especially in dealing with shorter transactions, is assuming that it's just about the transaction. And I wonder, we know better, don't we? At least in some cases, when you assume someone just wants a quote, you miss the possibility of a bigger opportunity. How does that work? To uncover a project in the planning stages, to learn about a new facility that might be coming online, to become a go-to resource. You know, they call you first, not last. So every call's a chance. Here's something worth writing down. Every call is a chance to position yourself, not just as a vendor, but as a partner, a trusted advisor. Whew. So here's your challenge. On your next 5 calls or so, don't just take the order, take the opportunity. By that, I mean, start with one sincere question. Can I ask why you reached out today? It sounds like there's some urgency there. Listen a little longer. Ask more about their problem. No selling, not yet. And leave them thinking that person actually cared about what I'm working on. And you know, because fans are easy to price shop, right? Trust is not so easy to come by. So that's just a thought or two. We don't sell fans, do we? We solve problems. So let's talk about the buyer's problem early going. We cool people down. We keep teams safe. We make food more productive, more productive on farms, and we do it best when the customer trusts us. So not that complicated, really, is it? And rapport isn't just small talk. It's the starting point for everything that matters in sales. So let's see if we can keep that in mind today. See you next time. So today, when you can, match the buyer's pace. Listen for their pace and their tone and their energy, or lack of. A high energy plant manager, match it. A calm procurement officer, slow your tone. People trust people who feel like them. And it's not a bad idea to share a quick story. Do you have success stories in your hip pocket that you can share? A quick short story, a success? Maybe it goes like this. You know, Mr. Buyer, that reminds me of a customer who had the same issue with airflow in their processing area. So storytelling builds the emotional connection, and it's real, and it's not salesy. It's just sharing a success. People like to do what other people are doing too. So end every call with value. What does that mean, Steve? Don't just say, I'll send a quote. Say something like, John, how about I send a few ideas that have worked well for others in your industry, and we compare notes. Would that be helpful? Just a little more connection, a little less just transactional. The trap to avoid, the biggest mistake is we see in selling, and especially transactions, is assuming it's just about that transaction. And sometimes it is, but when you assume someone just wants a quote, you miss the bigger opportunity. So to uncover a project in a planning stage, or learn about a new facility coming along, and it doesn't have to take 20 minutes. It's just the right question or two to become a go-to resource that they call first, not last. I might say, do you mind if I ask a question or two quickly? I want to make sure I understand what you're dealing with. Every call is a chance to position yourself, not just as a vendor, but a partner. So here's something I'd like for you to do. Here's your challenge. On your next 5 calls, don't just take the order, take the opportunity. So you can do that starting today. Start with one sincere question about the problem. Listen a little bit longer before you start to solve. Share a small success story if it makes sense and it will perhaps will resonate. And leave them thinking that you really cared about this project or what's going on in their world. Okay, so because fans are easy to price shop, aren't they? Trust is a little harder to come by. So here's a final inspiration. We don't sell fans, we sell problems, right? We solve problems. We cool people down. We keep teams safe. We plants more productive on the farms. Rapport is not small talk. Now, that's sort of a natural thing that we do, but it's the starting point for everything that matters in what we're doing to build a relationship.